ever oh, sorry, wrong series. Far Cry. Far Cry slightly changes. An FPS series known for traveling to exotic locations, climbing towers to uncover the map, and clearing outposts, had its formula turned on its head in last year's 5th game, with a non-linear approach and missions now offered through exploration rather than towers. Now, New Dawn takes another major step with the series by introducing RPG elements into its format. At its budget price of $40, does New Dawn make enough changes?
What's an orgasm?
No.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and this is our review of Far Cry New Dawn.
Okay, we have to get back to Hope County. My mom, she'll know what to do. Come on.
Unlike previous Far Cry titles that are largely self-contained stories with the odd returning character, aka Herky, New Dawn is a direct follow-up to the previous game, Far Cry 5. At the end of that game, oh sorry, spoilers if the marketing didn't already do that, Hope County was engulfed in a nuclear apocalypse, and the main villain survived. New Dawn takes place 17 years after those events, where instead of a barren dead wasteland, the world is instead undergoing a super bloom of new plant life. And Hope County, with its absurdly high number of doomsday preppers, managed to start over with a new peaceful life. That is, until a powerful gang of raiders known as the Highwaymen come to the county and take its resources by force. You play as a different silent protagonist dubbed the Captain, who was traveling with an armed envoy in the hopes of driving back the Highwaymen and rebuilding America.
They were our last hope. Our salvation.
And just like the last game, things don't go according to plan and you come face to face with the game's main villain. Or in this case, villains.
Our pops always told us that people either solve problems or make problems. The world's got too many problems. And we're looking for people to help solve problems.
Our villains are the ruthless twin sisters, Mickey and Lou. Their actresses, Kara Ricketts and Leslie Miller, both deliver great performances with fantastic chemistry between the two of them, almost to the point where they feel like they're the same person with a creepy mental connection. And most importantly, their unsympathetic personalities really give you a drive to keep on fighting.
The only currency in this world is power. You made us look weak. That ends now!
That said, their characters are rather two-dimensional. Their whole backstory as to why they're bloodthirsty conquerors basically boils down to because their father was like that. It isn't exactly nuanced writing here, especially in the face of Joseph last year, despite his rather misguided performance.
Pops taught us what to do with problem makers. Problem makers need to be solved.
Speaking of Joseph Seed, he returns in this game too. And while I won't spoil too much about him, his performance is much better this time around, mostly because his personality fits better into the path his character has taken.
Sin is in our blood, our flesh, our soul.
Which brings us to the overall structure of the game. Unlike Far Cry 5's non-linear story structure, New Dawn takes a more traditional approach. You start the game with Carmina Rai as your main ally, the daughter of Nick and Kim Rai, whom players helped deliver as a baby in the previous game. From here, she takes you to Hope County's main home base, Prosperity, and it's up to the player to build up Prosperity strong enough to drive back the Highwaymen. You do this by obtaining ethanol, the game's primary currency for base expansion, which you mostly earn through capturing outposts, with bonuses if you take out these bases without triggering alarms or don't get detected by enemies at all.
Your map shows the Highwaymen outposts, where they store the ethanol they stole from us. Secure these locations to get what we need.
You can also earn ethanol by raiding Highwaymen supply drops that conveniently appear near your location, or by hijacking their fuel trucks and delivering the goods to your base or outposts. If you run low on ethanol, the game does offer a unique risk-reward factor to get more. You can choose to scavenge any outpost for its remaining ethanol, and doing so will make the Highwaymen retake the outposts with stronger enemies. But if you retake the outpost again, you'll also get higher rewards. Thus brings us to the biggest change to the Far Cry format, the light RPG elements.
It's inspired by something you cooked up, actually. Only I made a few modifications. If I wasn't so modest, I'd say it was the best gun in Hope County.
All of the game's weapons, vehicles, enemies, and most importantly wildlife predators are split into 4 different rankings. In order to obtain higher ranked guns and weapons, for example, you need to upgrade Prosperity's garage and weapons bench respectively, while enemies will naturally rank up the further you progress into the story. Higher ranked enemies wear more layers of body armor, as well as helmets which can make headshots tricky to pull off. And, as you may have noticed from this footage, numbers will appear whenever you shoot them to indicate how much damage you're doing. You can choose to turn off this feature, though I never found it to be much of an issue, so I just left it.
Auntie Grace would call that a gold medal shot!
As for weapons, you'll need to obtain different parts in order to craft them. Rank 1 weapons are easy to obtain as they can be crafted with common materials, though as you unlock stronger weapons, you'll also need more rarer materials. This loot can be obtained by scavenging the many ruined buildings throughout the world, or yeah, with in-game microtransactions. Yeah, the game has a premium currency which can purchase select weapons and vehicles, as well as loot packs and skill perks. Thankfully, I was able to clear the game without dropping a cent, and by the post-game, I had more material than I knew what to do with. So the microtransactions, thankfully, don't hurt the game's progression. In fact, they're pretty much pointless. Don't use them.
I have a problem, alright? I didn't mean for things to get this bad.
Speaking of weapons, they're pretty flashy this time around. The first weapon you'll obtain is the Saw Launcher, a silent weapon that shoots circular saws at enemies. I don't want to spoil its other unique feature, but I would like to recreate for you my reaction the first time I fired it.
Holy shit! That was fucking awesome!
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Unfortunately, it's the only unique weapon. While there are upgraded versions of the Saw Launcher, the rest of the weapons are your typical pistols, shotguns, and rifles, etc. Though be it with some unconventional parts attached to them for upgrades, and hilarious descriptions. As this game is a direct sequel to Far Cry 5, New Dawn uses a repurposed iteration of 5's map, although the majority of Jacob's region, as well as parts of Faith's region, are largely inaccessible, which is disappointing. That said, the landscape has seen a massive change in the last 17 years. Nuclear bombs would do that, as many of the landmarks now lie in ruins or have been repurposed to fit the Highwayman's twisted needs. The game even takes advantage of this overhauled map through one side mission, where you're given a set of photographs that were taken of landmarks before the war. And you have to use your memory of Far Cry 5 to find their locations. Yes, it's another feature that Ubisoft ripped from Breath of the Wild, but I ain't complaining. In fact, I wish more open world games would do quests like this. The Prepper Stash treasure hunts are back too, and they're better than ever, highlighting some of the game's most memorable moments through the use of puzzle solving or more difficult platforming sections this time around. Plus, each of these hideouts often contain diaries or audio tapes of what happened to some characters from 5 that don't appear in New Dawn.
You got the right idea, Nadine. Now's as good a time as any to get out of Hope County. These highwaymen are shaping up to mow us over, and I got no intention of being around when that happens.
This isn't just limited to side missions too, as random houses often contain diaries that further expand on the franchise's world building between the two titles. There aren't as many missions in this game as 5, hence the $40 budget price, and I was able to complete the main story as well as most of the side quests in about 12 hours, with another 4 to 6 to clear post-game content. Though once again, I didn't have to experience the game alone, as co-op with a second player returns, though only on the host save file, but with both players collecting any obtained loot. I played through a significant amount of the game in co-op, and where it worked best was in the outpost missions, where my wife and I coordinated with each other on the best course of action to take with some bases. But some story missions aren't designed to handle 2 players, as they often require players to get into specific vehicles with only 1 seat available. If you don't have someone to play co-op with, the Guns for Hire system returns as well. Series regular Herc returns with his rocket launcher, and he's joined by some familiar new faces.
I'd follow someone like you. If you're looking for an ally, you found one.
There's Carmina Rai, who's basically an all-round partner, Gina, who has a heavy machine gun to mow down hordes of enemies, though my personal favourite was Nana, an elderly woman who uses a silent sniper rifle and delivers some hilarious quips while taking down bad guys. Basically, she's the best grandma I never had.
Yippee! Right between the eyes!
Unfortunately, there's no way to allow for 2 Guns for Hire in your party at the same time like the previous game, which is very disappointing. Another disappointment is that there's no planes you can fly around in this time around, though helicopters are still available. There's also no arcade mode, that has been replaced with the expeditions, which take you to the locations scattered throughout the United States, such as an aircraft carrier in Florida or Alcatraz prison in San Francisco.
Hey, I remember coming here as a kid, but not as a prisoner. I was just visiting, I swear.
While their locations are very well designed and offer unique settings when you're tired of the overgrown forests, they unfortunately lose their novelty rather quickly due to repetition, as their missions are always find a GPS-ridden bag filled with lots of loot, not sure why you can't just break the GPS tracker, to get to the extraction point and hold out against enemies until the chopper arrives to get you the hell out of there. Nevertheless, clearing these missions offers vast amount of resources, ensuring that you'll never run out of anything necessary.
Yes! C'est ça, grosse patate! C'est ça! Good work! And you too, Captain! You rock!
Still, my time with New Dawn reminded me of why I loved Far Cry 5 last year. The desire to venture out into the world and slowly explore each and every structure or hideout I came across was so enjoyable that I often got easily sidetracked to find out more of what was happening here. I did run into a handful of bugs, including the odd restart needed when my character suddenly couldn't move, and while the story itself is a bit more straightforward this time around, there was one particular WTF moment towards the end of the game that felt really out of place.
Welcome to Chateau Beauchamp, the loudest, smelliest place in all of Hope County.
Overall, I did enjoy Far Cry New Dawn immensely, though not without a few reservations. While there's less content than the previous game, and the light RPG mechanics make it feel more like an experimental game than a total package, there is a lot to be enjoyed here, and it's finally great to see the tale of Hope County get some proper closure. So, if you enjoyed the last game but hated the ending, I would still recommend this game for you. And given the $40 opening price, I can still say that it's worth venturing into Far Cry's Montana one last time.
They made this personal. So now, I'm gonna go John quick on their asses. I'm gonna take from them, starting with my ride.
Still, given the opportunity, I think we need to end this review in the proper internet way.
Good Lord, what is happening?
Aurora Borealis?
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country.
Yes.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos straight away.